Come on in. So I want to talk to you about getting clarity in your relationships. This is something that I find I've been talking to a lot of people about, and the first thing I really want you to grasp, just so you understand where I'm even coming from, um, is that in my experience, and likely if you really reflect in your own experience as well, being in a relationship is not 50-50. And I remember when I first started dating, or even when I said, hey, yeah, I want to do life with Dave and we're going to get married and whatever. I remember everybody saying to me, remember, you got to compromise. This is how to make it work. You got to compromise. It's 50-50. And how I took that was, okay, we both show up as equal parts. He's the other half of my 50, because my goal in life, right, like whether you're talking to Maslow or just common knowledge, like every human is looking for self-actualization. Like that's what humans are looking for, and which means we're looking for to be 100%. Okay. So we go into these relationships going, okay, we want to be 100%. We know this. And okay, I guess I'm supposed to be 50-50 with this other person. Now, what if you believed, though, that you could go into a relationship and it would thrive and you would have so much clarity if you went in it as 100%? You went in it as 100%, and they go in it as 100%. Okay? You need to know exactly what you desire out of your life. Okay. I talk to people about this all the time. People are going like, I want to find my purpose. I want to have this vision for my life. I want clarity. Okay. All your clarity, whether it's in your health, your bank account, your relationships, where you live, what you do for work, wherever, it starts with you being clear about your life. And then you get into a relationship, whether it's a romantic relationship or a friendship or whatever, you get into that at 100% with 100% clarity. And then you, like attracts like, right? We talk about that all the time. You then partner up, again, whether it's romantic or not, it doesn't matter, with someone that's also looking to be 100%. Guys, you don't want to be the other 50% of anybody's shenanigans. Because the moment someone's relying on you to live their life, you both lose. You both lose. Like, I couldn't imagine, like, it's enough for me to get my shit together in a day sometimes. I couldn't imagine if I had Dave going like, oh my God, Dylan, I need you to like be my, know my goals and take action for me and like inspire me. And that's exhausting. And I know that guaranteed there's someone watching this right now, or you're going to share this with someone that's like, yep, that's me every day. Like, I get myself together and then I get my partner together and then we do life together. But you know what? It's what I signed up for. That's what they'll say. That's not what you signed up for. You've like totally got the wrong idea of what a friendship or what marriage is. And sometimes people have been doing it for so long, you're just in the habit of being everything to everyone. You don't even know who you are. You don't know who you are. You don't have a relationship with you. So if you can't have a relationship with you, how are you supposed to even have a relationship with anybody else? You can't give what's not in you to give. Okay, it's like leadership. I can't tell you how many people that I had in my life that were leaders. They called themselves leaders or they had the title of leader, yet they couldn't manage their own damn life, let alone lead anybody else to lead theirs. They were managers. They could like make sure you showed up to work on time and make sure that you got all your check boxes done and everything got done. But they weren't leaders. They didn't inspire me to follow them. I wasn't inspired. I would like show up. I'd be like, "There's you, there's me. Both gonna coexist in this office or in this space." But like, you have the title of the person I report to, so that so that there's some structure in the organization. But you're not a leader. You can't lead your own life. And I'm outside of work, like not paying attention to the hot mess that you are. Right? Can you have this relationship and with yourself and lead you? Can you come into then? Because when that happens, you will begin to come into all of your other relationships as 100%. Do you imagine? Do you imagine what your life would look like if every person you were in a relationship with was 100% them? I'm not talking about perfect. That's not what 100% is. We're human. We're having a human experience. We're not meant to be perfect. Okay? We're all just here people in. Okay? But if I 100% know who I am, know where I'm going, have a vision for my life, am on purpose with my life, I'm then going to show up in all the places in a totally different way than I was before. Totally different way. But this comes from within you and the vision that you have for your life. So then the next question you're going to ask, well, how do I do that? How do I do that? Like you might have seen, oh, she's going to talk about relationships. She's going to give me a checkoff list. I'm telling you, your relationships are going to continue to be what they are until you do the work on you. And the people that you're in a relationship with, they do the work on them. When that happens and y'all come together at 100% and make 200%, your life's going to change. Your life's going to change. This thought alone totally changed my marriage. It also cleaned up my friends list in a big way. Totally changed it. I really realized that I had been hanging out with some people that I was like, oh, like they're not even 50%. Like they're that, like, and they're not even interested. They're so stuck on like the hamster wheel or like focused on where they think they're going, but they're not really going anywhere. They're so focused on that they're not even 50% right now. They're like 25% because they're 25% and then their spouse is 25%. And then they have a huge reliance on like their parents to also fill a huge gap or their kids. So they're 25%. And then their work has to compensate as well. So they're 25%. And this is the thing with organizations. Like if you own a business or you work within an organization, don't put that kind of pressure on them to fill a gap in your life. What is your relationship with your work? It's not up to your organization to fill this gap for you. It's up to you to get clarity on your life, find the work that brings you joy, and then do it. And then you fill the gap within the organization because you're on purpose, not they fill a gap within you. Do you get what I'm saying? So like ask yourself right now, like what percent am I actually showing up as? Am I showing up as maybe you're going, holy crap, like if I look at it, I've split my life up so much where I'm reliant on my spouse takes up some and my kids take up some and my parents take up some and my siblings take up some and my bestie since I was 2, even though they're a hot mess, it takes up some. And then this job that I fucking like just hate takes up some. And then like the government takes up some and then the whatever, right? Like you've split yourself up so much that you're like, I'm legit 10%. I'm 10%. Like I show up as the true part of me 10% every day. And then I rely on everything else to make me 100%. Like really ask yourself that. And you'll know, because a lot of people go, well, how do I know? You'll know, look at your calendar. Look at where you're spending your time. Look at your bank book. How old am I? Go online, log into your bank. That's where we are now because it's 2024. And like look at where you spend your money. You'll be able to see where you're giving energy. And honestly, money is a big one. People are so like, it's such a big part of the energy and mind space that it takes up for people, that like they give 50% of their power away to that, their relationship. And then like by the time they're like, Delin, help me. Like my relationship with, like, I have no money. My relationship with money is garbage. Like, what do I do? Like, it's where are you giving your power away? If you're functioning at 100% you, that's who money wants to hang out with. You'll have an amazing relationship with money. Money wants to hang out with 100% of you. It doesn't want to be split up. It doesn't want to share with like you and like your negative thoughts about it. It's not what it wants to do. Okay, so I want to give you some tips of things that you can do to like really dive into this. Okay, and first it's going to be in this self-reflection. Okay, like really get honest with yourself. Understand, what is it that you value? What are your goals? What are your priorities? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What areas do you need to skill up in? Raise your consciousness in? Consider past relationships and experiences, and even identify what are some patterns that you had. Like, I know until I raised my consciousness in relationships and in myself and in like what I'm actually here to do, I like pre-Dave, I like basically anybody I ever dated before him was like the same person in a different meat stick with the same thoughts. We'd have the same conversations. It was just the same. And I got bored real quick. It was just the same, mostly though, because I didn't know who I was. So if you find yourself just flip-flopping in your relationships, again, know who you are, and you'll attract in just the person that also wants to be with that and be 100% with that. Okay. But you got to reflect. It starts with you. One thing you got to do, but it's a big thing. And a lot of people are like, oh, it's going to take a lot of work. It does. But you know what? It's worth it. Like, it's your life. What else you guys got to do? Is your relationships. Like, this is why we're here as humans, is to have other human relationships. Why else are you here? Like, this is going to be worth your time. I promise you. You're like, oh, but I got to go to work and I got to do the laundry and I got to. No, none of that doesn't mean nothing. Means nothing if you don't have people to do it with, people to do this life with, people that fulfill you after you fulfill yourself. Okay, so reflect. Then with the people that you're in a relationship with now, you got to communicate with them. This is going to be like, it's an actual conversation. And again, some of y'all are going to like say at step 2, but I don't want to have confrontation. It doesn't have to be confrontational. It just has to be, you say to them, I am making a commitment to show up as 100% of myself. You don't, at this point, you guys, you don't even need them to make that commitment, because they have to make a decision to do this. Okay. So don't try to push this on anybody, because if they're not ready for it, it's not going to end well. But also, if they're not ready for it for a long period of time, you actually know where they stand. I know you're like, but what if it's my parents? Maybe it's your parents. They're on their own journey. I know we put our parents up on this pedestal, but they're on their own journey. If they're not willing to contribute in an effective way, then you're not going to see as much of them. I actually had one parent that I was like, like, you're not necessarily my people. And I had one that was like, you're my people 100%. Right. And that's okay. You just have to but we try to like hang on to them, or, okay, well, Dylan, maybe it's not my parents. What if I'm married to them? It's okay. Like, are they willing to work on themselves? Are they willing to show up in the relationship at 100%? Or are you going to try to get to 100% and they still need you to fill 80% of their life? You're going to get exhausted. Then you're not going to be fulfilled. And that's not the reason why you're here on this earth. Everything has seasons, reasons, and lifetimes. So again, you get to decide what that looks like. Okay, but it has to be an actual conversation where you can say, this is what I need. This is what I need for me. And these are the boundaries that I'm setting. Okay, and just be open and honest and direct. You have nothing to lose. Like, you can't mess it up. You can't mess this up. Like, what are you gonna mess up? They're gonna what? You're here to make their life, they're gonna thank you for it. It's either gonna go the way you want or you're gonna learn something. That's your two options. You actually can't mess it up. That's why a lot of people don't have actual conversations, because they're afraid to mess it up. You can't mess it up. Okay? Then if you have not yet, set some like goals for yourself. What is the vision you have for your life? Again, a lot of people are just, and I honestly, like 98% of people are just going through life. It's already been either predetermined for them, or they're just, they fell into a thing and now it's been, and they don't have anything outside of what they're doing that they desire. But they're not necessarily happy with all the aspects of their life either. Okay, so set some goals for yourself. Long-term, short-term, doesn't matter. Just something bigger than you. Maybe it's for your health. Maybe it's for your relationships. Maybe it's for your bank account. Maybe it's for your business. Maybe it's for whatever. Okay? And all of these things, the glue that kind of holds it together is going to be your standards that you set based on your goals, and then the boundaries around it. Okay? When you clearly set up and you say, these are my standards of how I'm living my life, and you either fit into it or you don't. Again, this is how I cleaned up my friends list pretty good on this one, because I was like, I don't like, I'll give you an example. Me up until yesterday, because I was a people pleaser, I would entertain conversations where people were like gossiping or talking smack about other people. And it's not that I would necessarily contribute to it, but I would tolerate it. I'd be like, oh. And then I was like, wait a sec. That freaking exhausts me when I'm with people and they're talking smack about other people. Like, I'm not interested. Like, that's a standard. I don't do that anymore. So guess what? That cleaned up my friends list pretty quickly. Even cleaned up some of my family that I'm like, and I'll see you at Christmas. I'm not interested. I'm not interested. So I don't tolerate it, which means I don't have the relationship I had with them before, and that's okay. Okay? Like, I'm not saying that's just not the boomerang that I'm tossing out there. Okay? Because those kind of conversations exhaust me, and I'm not here to lower my frequency just so I can hang out with you. My job is to keep my frequency here. That's my job. That's your job. As you show up at 100%, you're going to be like, boom, vibing high. You can't just wear your high vibe shirt and then entertain shit like that. That's not the way it works. Okay? You set the standard, and then you set the boundary. You got to like cocoon that standard like it's your job, because it's literally your life depends on it. And the more you do this, what's going to happen is you are going to settle into this beautiful independence where you're going to cultivate your own interests, your own friendships, your own hobbies, and it's not that, like, in becoming 100% of me, I'm not worried for me about like, well, what if David, no, I'm not even worried about that, because guess what? For us, he's doing the same thing. We don't like the same things. Like, you don't like the same things necessarily, all of them, as your partner either. Right? It's football season. He wants to sit there and watch football, and I'm like, and you lost me. I'll catch you in 4 weeks when that's over with. Right? Like, that's okay. You're allowed to have your own things. I don't need to understand why he wants to watch that, and he doesn't need to understand why I like to do what I do. Okay? It's okay to just want to be you. Okay? And continuously, like, want to grow and learn and like raise your awareness inside your relationships and outside your relationships. Okay, you don't need to be everything to everybody, but your job is to grow you. That's all your spirit actually wants. Your spirit wants to grow and evolve. That's it. Right? So, what are you doing, and who are you hanging out with, and who are you in relationships with that are going to do that? Either way, every single relationship you've ever had has taught you and your spirit a lesson. Guaranteed. That's why you're in it. That's why you attracted it in. That's the way it works. Every single one has taught you a lesson. And some of them have been hard lessons, and some have felt easy. Either way, it's been a lesson. That's what I'm saying. You can't mess this up. You're just going to learn from it. Okay. And regularly check in with yourself. Okay. So once you set that standard, make sure that you're regularly checking in to make sure that you're meeting that standard. And you know how you'll know if you're not meeting the standards? You'll feel it. Because the second you set a standard and then you start going against it, but then what happens is we get into the habit of going against the standard. But if you're doing regular check-ins and you go, dang, my habits just totally snuck in there, and I started if I could start entertaining gossip again. Oh, damn, that snuck in there. Well, all right, forgive myself, move on. That's it. Okay. And really, just as you're growing into this new version of yourself, even though it's uncomfortable, because you're not in the habit of being 100% right now, just embrace it. Embrace the discomfort. And honestly, your biggest, this is where getting yourself in the environment. This is actually why we have places like the 2% Club. The people in the 2% Club are thriving and desiring to be that 100% of themselves, right? But we hang out with each other, and when we're feeling uncomfortable, we talk about it, right? Or we talk with our coaches, we talk with our mentors, we're in it together. Okay, so if you're even needing this support, come join us. If you're I want this, but I'm not getting it at home or in my current whatever, come hang out with people that are, because your environment is everything. It's absolutely everything. Always just remember, every relationship is unique and it's meant to be. There's no one size fits all approach. But these tips that I've given you here are going to be your starting point so that you can start to tailor and tweak everything so that you feel really good about your life. That's your actual goal. Okay? I really want you, and what I want for all humanity is for everybody to just become 100% of themselves. Express themselves 100% of the time. Be in relationships that they love and are obsessed with 100% of the time. Have a relationship with yourself, and all of us to have relationships with ourselves that we are obsessed with. Can you spend time with yourself? Do you like the company you keep? It's a big one. It starts with that and it ends with that. Thank you guys for joining me. Always a pleasure.